Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Thanks to everyone who is tuned in to the Networking RX podcast, and especially thanks to those who've subscribed. When you subscribe, every episode we release automatically comes to you. This is Frank Agin. I'm founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. I want to start off by talking about Gina Winterstein. Gina is an expert in the telecom industry. She offers innovative solutions and technologies, helping her customers and clients with respect to telecommunications, voice, data, internet needs, voice over IP. She basically does this nationwide. But the reason I want to bring up Gina is Gina's also a franchisee of AmSpirit Business Connections. For a couple hours in the morning, a few days a week, she's working with or starting chapters of AmSpirit Business Connections. The rest of the time, she's being this Uber telecommunications consultant. And as she works to find clients for her telecom business, she connects with people who can become part of AmSpirit Business Connections. And as she works with her AmSpirit Business Connections chapters and members, they are referring her telecom clients. So she has added the AmSpirit Business Connections franchise opportunity onto her telecom business, and those two things work in concert to grow one another. If you have an interest in learning more about the AmSpirit Business Connections program, you can contact me using the email we provide at the end of this program or the one we included in the show notes. If you're interested in talking with Gina Winterstein and her experience, the name of her business is Panagia Networks. And you can get a hold of her at Gina at PanagiaNetworks.com. I will spell Panagia, P-A-N-A-G-E-A, P-A-N-A-G-E-A Networks.com. Today we're going to talk about superpowers. Well, not really superpowers, but it's going to sound like a superpower once I get into it. But as many of you know, and some of you are certainly going to find out now, is I do a fair amount of professional speaking. I don't consider myself a professional speaker in being that I spend most of my time doing that. I'm asked to speak, I get paid. I don't make it a lifelong pursuit like many people do, and there are a lot of great professional speakers out there. But that's neither here nor there. As you can imagine, I talk on networking. What else would I talk about? And I've got a number of different programs, and I won't get into what those different programs are here. It doesn't really matter. But generally speaking, with any program that I give, at the end, I allow time for Q&A, questions and answers. No matter what I'm talking on, essentially there's going to be something I might miss or something that somebody doesn't understand. So I want to give people the opportunity to kind of chime in with what their thoughts are, what's concerning them, what's something I didn't cover, and so I'll provide that opportunity at the end of programs. Nevertheless, one of the topics that generally comes up at the end during this question and answer session has to do with networking events. Questions have to do with small talk, and we've done a number of programs on small talk. It has to do with just working a room. How do you work a room? But one of the questions I get from time to time is people have a real anxiety about walking in the room for the first time. Frank, how do you get by this anxiety? How do you deal with this anxiety? It's just to walk into a room and I don't know anybody. Now, I'm reasonably confident that this is something that really impacts most everybody. And the reason I say that is that, to be perfectly honest, I have those anxieties. When I walk into a room where there's nobody I know, especially when there's lots of people there, I can feel that anxiety welling up inside me. And I think it's perfectly natural. I think it's just kind of a natural human reaction. Years ago, we lived in tribes, and we knew everybody in the tribes we lived in, or clans, or whatever you want to call it. We knew everybody. And if we were to venture out into another tribe or another clan, we really didn't know what was in store for us. It might be certain death. It might be worse, cannibalism, but we didn't know. And so I think that that's kind of a holdover characteristic of us, is that when we walk into situations we're not comfortable with, we're going to feel that sense of anxiety. And so I think it's perfectly natural. Again, I'm supposed to be Mr. Network. I'm supposed to be an Uber networker and have all the answers. And I like to think that I have a lot of the answers, but I'm just being very honest that I have that anxiety when I walk into a room, when I walk into a setting where I don't know people. And so my answer to people, I certainly share that with, as I'm sharing it with you, I share it with the people I'm talking to, is that I have that anxiety, but then I'll go on to share how I have learned to kind of battle that anxiety. And the simplest way to do it, as I tell them, is I put on my cloak of invincibility. Not cloak of invisibility, that's a whole different thing. It's a cloak of invincibility. Invincibility. Invincibility meaning the quality of being too powerful to be defeated or overcome. And I got to be honest, I got that out of the dictionary. I'm not that smart. But at any rate, that's what invincibility is walking into the room and having a state of mind that you're not going to be defeated, you're not going to be overcome. Now, obviously, you're not walking into a room where you're going to be in a fist fight or any kind of a brawl, so I'm not talking about physicality, but I'm speaking more to our egos. And when we walk into rooms, the reason we feel anxiety is we feel anxiety because we're afraid that we are going to be rejected. We're afraid that people are going to reject our mere presence. They're going to reject what we have to say. They're going to reject what we're about. And that's why that anxiety is there. We don't want to be rejected. Nobody wants to be rejected. And so when I say putting on the cloak of invincibility, what I mean is simply this, is when I walk into a networking event, I walk in with the mindset that I am here to help other people. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to sell franchises. I'm not here to find members for AmSpirit Business Connections. I'm not here to get speaking engagements. I'm here to help other people. I'm here to meet people and see how I can help them. Are there people in my network that can help them? Are there people that they can help? Are there people in my network I can connect them to? Is there information that I have that might be of help to them, or opportunities that I know of that might be of help to them? And that becomes my mindset when I walk into a room. When I walk into a chamber function, when I walk into a networking event, and I tend to go to a lot of these things and work with a lot of people that I haven't met before, and that becomes my mindset. And when that's your mindset, and you truly believe that you are there to help other people, how is anybody going to reject you? How are you going to be overpowered, defeated, or overcome at any point in time? Nobody's not going to welcome the person who is there to help others. Now, don't get me wrong. I go to networking functions and I am blown off and I am dismissed. People will come up to me and they'll kind of size me up and try and figure out if I'm going to be a good client or not. And that's bad networking on their part, and I don't care. I don't want to waste time with them. But if I get into a conversation with somebody, and again, engaging in the fine art of small talk, getting them talking, learning about them, and trying to see who I can help them with, they're very accepting of me. Who doesn't want to associate with somebody who can potentially help them? You would be a fool to reject that sort of person. I want to meet that person. And I do meet those people from time to time who take the same mindset. They put on their cloaks of invincibility and walk into events and are there to truly help people. They're not there to get their cards out to everybody. They're not there to collect cards just so they can get back to the office and start pushing products and services on people. They're truly there to help people. Now, you might be saying, well, geez, that's kind of counterproductive. You'll never get anything out of it. Trust me. If you help other people, it will come back to you. I know this because it comes back to me. It comes back a lot of times in small ways, sometimes in bigger ways, but it eventually comes back to me. And small things lead to big things, and big things lead to small things, and it just works. But that's how I get beyond having this anxiety of walking into a room. I just put on this fictitious cloak of invincibility. I am here to help this room. I'm here to help somebody. And I genuinely believe that. I genuinely feel that when I walk into a room. And I know that when I come away, I'm going to have 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour of following up with people, handwritten notes, providing the information I said I was going to provide, emailing, doing the things I said I was going to do. And I'm never too worried about what comes back to me. I'm not worried about it at all. Sometimes there are people out there just cannot help you in return. Sometimes people do things for me. I just can't help them in return. It's not that I don't want to, but it's not readily apparent. Maybe in time it'll happen, and it's the same thing. I know when I do things for people, they may not be in a position to help me in return. Or maybe if it does happen, that it happens down the line. Or maybe it's already happened, that somebody's done something for me in the past. I don't get too worked up about it. But what I found is that putting on this cloak of invincibility allows me to walk into a room and feel confident and feel like, you know what, I belong here and people want to have me here. And yeah, there are people who might make me feel bad or might dismiss me, cut me off in a conversation. We all run into these things. I don't worry about that too much. Most people are ready, willing, and able to have a conversation with you if you have that mindset. And what happens in time is that if you put on this cloak of invincibility and you get comfortable going to events and you're doing the things that I'm talking about, helping other people, making connections for them, sharing information, opportunities, so on and so forth, you become known for that, and it becomes easier and easier to walk into events. Certainly you become less of a stranger, but you start to develop a brand. I don't want to say a reputation, that kind of sounds bad, but your brand is that of somebody who's looking to help other people. And in time, you become welcomed. So when you're headed out to that next networking event, think about this. Just before you get to the door to the event, whatever the event might be, put on your cloak of invincibility, tell yourself, I'm here to help other people, and then set it in motion. You'll find that your anxiety is greatly diminished if it hasn't disappeared altogether.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.